Hello, I just want to give a quick day one sort of progression update on my Summon Raging Spirit Scion that I've league started with. The league started for me yesterday at about 4 p.m. and I played until about 6 a.m. So about 14 hours of playtime minus some breaks. I did take some breaks in there just to, try to stay a little bit healthy. So there's my slash played. It's a little bit under 14 hours. I got through the campaign in a little bit over 5 hours, and it's kind of funny. I would say that I had maybe my luckiest campaign ever as far as item drops are concerned, but one of my unluckier campaigns as far as other incidental things are concerned. So let's talk about those item drops first. So in Act 2, around the time I was getting to Oak, I was complaining to my friends on Discord that I didn't have a helmet yet. I didn't have a single helmet. And then as I was saying that, I yelled out, I found a hat, because an enemy in the riverways had dropped a hat, and I identified it, and it was a +1 minion skill helmet that I got to use for the whole campaign, and I even got a Skitterbots enchant on it in the second lab. And I was honestly planning to just use this all the way into red maps until when I was doing the Cage map, I think, or Pen, one of them. It's basically the same map. I think it's a tier 5 or a tier 6. I had this drop. And it's another +1 minion skill helmet. It had good resists, it had an open prefix, so I crafted life. I got a summon skeleton enchant on it out of my Uber lab, which is fine. It's not useful to me, but it will be useful when I sell it. This is a really, really nice helmet that dropped for me. You might notice the gems are completely off color. There's 3 blue and 1 green. I used the jeweler method to recolor it. And the game trolled me a bit. It took about 100 jeweler's orbs to get that third blue socket. I just cut to do a quick trade there. And then when I wanted that last green socket, which is a natural socket on this helmet, it rolled blue on the first try, so then I had to waste another 20 jeweler's orbs. Back to the campaign drops though, around the end of Act 2 or beginning of Act 3, I had a blue minion shield drop. It just had plus mana on it, and I decided, let me throw a Scour and an Alchemy at this, and it rolled +1 to all lightning skill gems, and minion damage and minion crit. So this effectively gave my Absolution +2 levels for the entire campaign. So I was way overpowered for basically the entire campaign. I was just melting through everything. On the unlucky side of things, I had one computer overheat and hard crash that happened in town in Act 4, so it wasn't that bad, but I did have to wait for a reboot. And it wasn't really unexpected. My computer has been having some overheating problems recently. My first death in the campaign was to Dominus. It was actually to the Cyclone guy before Dominus. But I think for anyone who's leveled a minion build through the campaign, you already know that Cyclone guy is basically the worst enemy in the entire campaign because he keeps killing your minions. And I got stunlocked by him and died. After that, I kind of stopped caring about playing through the campaign deathless, so I had quite a few more deaths after that. Maybe around 10 total by the end of the campaign, probably less. Other unlucky things, in Act 6, at the very end of the control blocks and right before Casticus, I had a giant lag spike and hard disconnected from the game, had to reconnect, had to run the entire control blocks again. Then in the second labyrinth, I was on the second Zaro fight, and I died to the slash when I had determination and I had my granite flask up. And now that I think about it, I think that slash is cold damage, which is the one resist I wasn't capped on at that part of the campaign, so that is probably why I died there. And then, partially due to bad luck and partially due to my own carelessness, I ended up running the third lab 3 times. The first time, I had a giant lag spike right at the very end of the lab, before the last Izaro fight. Died to a lag spike, nothing I could do about it. The second time, I cleared it. And then the third time, I meant to do Uber Lab. I had my offering to the goddess, I went to lab, and then I ran the entire third lab again without realizing I was in the third lab thinking, man, this is really easy. And so I ended up doing the third lab an extra time for no reason. But I did walk out of there with a nice boot enchant for the boots I'm probably going to use for a little bit once I can get them recolored. And then I actually ran my Uber Lab after that and cleared it no problem. So I have all of my Ascendancy points. Oh, another lucky thing that I forgot to mention is that I had a 5-link drop, I think at the very end of Act 6. I'm pretty sure this was before Act 7 because I remember thinking how lucky it was to get a 5-link when 6 sockets couldn't even drop yet. And it is item level 45, so that means it was somewhere in... Actually, I think this was Act 5 then, maybe Act 6. But with my 5-link, I'm using SRS, Unleash, Minion Damage, Immolate, and Melee Splash. My intention with this Melee Splash is to swap it out for something like Elemental Damage with Attacks when I need single target, but I haven't needed to yet. Also, I completely forgot all of yesterday that the new fresh meat support exists, and it's probably really good with SRS, and I just completely forgot to use it, so I will try it out today. Other than that, the character is into yellow maps, done almost all of the white maps, so I've had no problems whatsoever so far, just melting everything. I'm way overcapped on elemental resistances. I'm using Purity of Elements right now just for the element immunity. Once I can get my Brine King Pantheon upgraded for freeze immunity, I will also have shock immunity from Tempest Shield, and then I will drop Purity of Elements for either haste or anger or skitterbots, probably haste. Other than that, the character's level 82. All of my gear so far is solo self-found. I haven't bought a single piece of gear. I just want to show the kind of gear that you can pick up if you know what to pick up and you're efficient with it. So you've already seen the helmet, it's really good. You've already seen the shield, it's really good. This dropped in Act 2, and I'm still using it. I picked up this unset ring in a map. So everything here came from white or early yellow maps. So this unset ring, pretty nice. Gives me an extra gem socket, so I have a frost bomb in here while I'm doing Maven bosses. This 2-stone ring dropped really early in the campaign. It's not very good, but it does have 15% cast speed on it. And that 15% cast speed is quite nice for SRS. It does make you summon them faster. These boots dropped somewhere early in mapping. They're alright. They're 30% movement speed, a resist, and some life. These gloves are from pretty early in the campaign. This is something I should definitely work on replacing, but they have a decent life roll on them. This sword actually dropped really early in the campaign. I think somewhere in Act 3. Yeah, it's item level 36, so it dropped in Act 3 somewhere. So before I started my campaign run, I customized my filter to show good leap slam bases, which is just anything with good attack speed that I can use leap slam with. And I left this with no modifiers on it for the entire campaign. It was just a normal sword with some sockets that I have leap slam, faster attacks, and culling strike in. Ideally, I would get rid of this culling strike, have another blue socket there just to alleviate some gem pressure. But I've been pretty short on chrome so far, so I just haven't bothered doing that. And also, I shouldn't have leveled this culling strike or this faster attack so high because the dex requirement's really high. It's going to be annoying when I switch gear and lose the dex requirement. Anyway, so once I got to maps, I hit this with an Essence of Fear. I just used whichever was the highest one that I had available. Got some minion damage on it, quite a bit of minion damage actually, and then I crafted attack speed just for a faster leap slam. This 5-link that I already mentioned, this had basically nothing on it. It was blue when it dropped. I hit it with a Scour and then a couple essences. I didn't really get anything good. It's got some cold resistance on it, so that's good enough for now. This amulet dropped really recently. It's got some resist, it's got life, good enough for now. And this belt was, I think, the last thing that dropped. This dropped right before I did Uber Lab. It's got a whole bunch of resist, it's got armor, it's got pretty decent life because it had an open prefix, and it's a leather belt. And it has a ton of life regen on it. And combining that belt with the Guardian Ascendancy from Scion, with the every 4 seconds regenerate 50% of life over 1 second, when I did my Uber Lab, the traps couldn't even hurt me. I even tested trying to take damage from them. I stood on one of the buzzsaw traps and walked along with it, and it couldn't actually deal any damage to me. For my Atlas so far, I've spec'd into Stream of Consciousness, I'm into Harbinger and a little bit of Essence so far. I've banked left now, I'm going to go into more Essence, and then the plan is to get into the Searing Exarch points by the time I actually have Exarch spawning in my maps, and then I'll invest more into Essence, Harbinger, and then with the last of my points, I will probably put them into Delirium once the build is a little bit stronger. But having no problems with maps, I haven't had to run a single repeat map yet, and I haven't bought a single map so far. Other than the things that I've sold, this character is entirely solo self-found. I haven't bought a single item yet. Also spent a couple hours doing the League mechanic. I spent about 20 minutes on it during the campaign, decided that this would be a better thing to wait until maps. And then when I was starting to get a little bit tired late at night, I decided, let me try the League mechanic before I go to bed. And it's fun. It's not very rewarding yet, but I can see that there are rewards there. I think that when you push your tournament ranking higher, it'll get very rewarding. And the tattoos in there are insane. Some of the tattoos they've given us are completely unreal. It's going to open up a ton of potential for all sorts of builds. I'm excited both to see what people come up with, and I'm excited to come up with things on my own using all of these new tattoo stats. There's one that gives +1 melee strike range. You could have 50 of those if you wanted. There's one that gives +1 projectile. It doesn't say that it's limited, so supposedly you could have 50 of those. Both of those are insane. I actually doubt the projectile one works. But my plan for today is to get Exarch and Eater down, get into red maps, start farming some actual currency, and probably push the League mechanic a bit more. I haven't respec'd to Poison yet. I'm not going to until the build starts falling off, which, from what it feels like, probably isn't going to be at all, at least until... I don't know when, really. I think that this will be able to at least get through the 4 Void Stones without needing to switch to Poison. So I'm going to keep pushing it until I have to switch, and then once I have some currency built up, I will get what I need to switch to poison and then do that. Anyway, that's it for this video. Let me know how your league start has been going. Let me know if any of my videos that I've posted so far have helped you. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.